Hello and welcome to another episode of Snapshots. Hope you guys are well. This week I've got someone that I've really wanted to talk to him for quite a while now. I've been watching his channel for ages. He's just one of those really good, honest guys. I think. I mean, we're going to find out, but I'm really looking forward to talking to him. So I want to introduce you to Trevor Finnis. Hello, Trevor. How are you?
Hi Gary, how you doing? You okay?
Yeah, I'm really good, mate. I'm really good. So for those, before we get into the questions, for those guys who don't know about you, just give us a real brief description of yourself and your channel.
Okay, well, I'm Trevor and I'm based down here in Dorset. And yeah, I just kind of like to bring guys along with me on my kind of photography journey in and around Dorset.
Excellent, excellent. So we'll get on with the questions. So when did you start photography?
Well, this is going to sound like a typical kind of answer. I've always liked taking photographs, even from a kid with the old little Instamatic cameras, with the little cartridges, probably before your time, Gary. But
No, no, it's not.
yeah, okay. Um, but I actually really took it up probably 4 years ago, maybe a bit longer. And yeah, I don't know if you know, but I was kind of into my running. And one year I set myself a goal of doing a half marathon every month. And I'm part of a running club as well. So there's also club runs. And then my mate said, "Oh, why didn't you have a go at doing a marathon?" So to cut a long story short, all that running, I ended up injuring myself at the end of the year. And I knew I was going to be
Okay,
out for a long time because I like getting outside and doing things like that. So I was, well, what can I do? And I started thinking about taking photographs, photography, and all that. And yes, I bought myself a little entry level kit thing. So you got, I think it's a Canon 1300D with a couple of lenses. Didn't know anything about photography at all. Everything was shot in automatic.
okay.
And then I kind of just with guys like yourself, just going onto YouTube and so yourself came up and I started following you and a few others, and then he started talking about manual photography. I thought, well, what's that? But I don't know whether you're the same, but when there's something you're interested in, you become like a sponge and you just sort of soak it all in, and
Absolutely.
you want to get
Yeah.
out there and keep learning more.
hmm
So I guess that's kind of where I started from, and I've carried it on.
So basically, like 4 years ago, you were a real sort of newbie to photography.
Oh yeah,
Yeah. Okay, that's
I didn't
interesting.
know
So
anything about composition or apertures or shutter speeds,
okay.
ND filters, all of that. No, didn't know anything about that at all. It's literally point and shoot cameras. That was it, and on your phone.
So we kind of followed you then, really, like because you've been doing it for how long have you been videoing? How long have you been on YouTube?
I think, oh blimey, I think it was 2018 I started. So
Yeah.
yeah, I've been doing it for about 6 or 7 months, I suppose, before I start doing the videos.
Wow. So we got in really early then to your sort of
Yeah,
I hate to
yeah.
call it this, but your photographic journey. We
No,
got
no,
in
yeah,
really early with it, and
yeah, yeah.
okay, so that's really interesting. So brings me on to my next question. Why YouTube? Why did you decide to film yourself?
Um, I suppose it was just a case of an extension of my hobby, and it looked like good fun. I remember um, Chris Sale did a video once, and it was basically showing how he made a video. And right at the end, he said, if you want to have a go, because if nothing else, it's good fun. I thought, well, we're all in for a good time, aren't we?
hmm
And yeah, so that's kind of got me thinking about could I do? And to be honest, Gary, I did quite a few videos before I released anything, and they were pretty bad, you know.
Yeah,
And
we've all done that, mate. Trust me.
yeah,
I've got about three that are never going to see the light of day. So
yeah. But I think it was that really. It's just kind of bringing because live in such a lovely area, and just bringing people along and bringing kind of Dorset to the masses, if you like. Well, not the masses. I mean, a small channel, but
yeah.
bringing it out there. Yeah.
What I mean, I've got loads of questions, but I
Yeah.
want to let's. You saying you're a small channel? Now
Yeah.
you've got what 200 and something subs?
Yeah. I've
Yeah.
actually had a bit of a run the last few weeks. I was down to I was 191 about a month ago, and I'm
Okay.
218 now.
So you've been doing it for a long time, but I mean, I look at myself and I think I'm doing okay. But then I
Yeah,
look at other guys who started around the same time as me and they are way ahead of me, way ahead. But you're really low on the sub count, like
yeah.
in terms of that. So what drives you to do it? It because I know people say, it's not about the subs, it's not about this, but it must be something. Do you ever sort of say what how come these guys are getting X number of subs and I'm
I know what you're saying, and initially it was, so I don't really. Let's put it like this: I'm quite, I'm a member of quite a few photography, video, YouTube, Facebook groups, yeah, as well as my own Facebook channel. So all said and told, let's say for argument's sake, there's 5,000 people that are your friends, if you like. And I put the videos out on most of those kind of platforms, and I might average 100 views. So there's like 4,900 people that just aren't interested in watching or just haven't got the time or whatever. But what drives me, well, initially it was just bringing Dorset and bringing people along on my trips out. But of late, I think I mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago that life's changed over the last couple of years. I'm a full-time carer now to my wife Margaret, so I don't have that freedom anymore. I don't have that. I can
Mhm.
just go out for a sunrise or a sunset. I tend to go out like this morning. We've got a lady, a Becky, that comes and they'll go for a walk or go for a coffee and gives me just a little bit of a break.
Yeah.
So I don't have that kind of freedom. I've got a very restrictive life now. So with doing the videos, it also helps one with just, I know it's a kind of the modern thing in it, with your own well-being. So when I get home, it gives me something else to do, because it's very difficult to explain, with what Margaret's got wrong with her.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, so you kind of, you're taking the photographs, you get home, and you obviously take the time to edit your photographs. But with the video as well, it also gives you something else to do and think about, just to take your mind off of what's going on in everyday life. So it's kind of changed, I suppose, from just bringing people along on my little sort of trips out with my camera, to also doing that, but also kind of just for my own well-being, I guess.
Do you know, I totally get that because I'm in a similar situation to you.
Right. Yeah.
Obviously, I can still get out, and I don't know your situation, but
Mhm.
but my wife can potter about the house and do stuff. But
Yeah.
it's really, honestly, it's really good to hear, because I think a lot of people assume that we're just here for them.
Yeah.
A lot of people who watch assume that people make videos for the consumption by others, but
Right.
you are doing it for you because it's a release for you.
Yeah.
And
Definitely. Yeah.
that's a really really important point to get across to people, that it's
Yeah.
not just about people. Not everyone who makes videos are doing it because they want the money and the fame and the
Yeah. Yeah.
likes. There are many reasons why people do it.
And
So
what I also love about photography and the videography as well is you can kind of lose yourself in it. Do you know what I mean? Like, when you sort of see a composition or something that looks good, and you take a photo, you can take your time, and you're just so immersed in that moment.
hmm,
It doesn't matter what's going on in your own world, if you like. And it's the same with the videography. You're setting up to do a bit of B-roll. You're trying to make it interesting that others will want to enjoy it as well. And also, my videos kind of change quite a lot. I don't consider myself particularly articulate. I'm not very good at doing tutorials. So a lot of my videos will be what I call coffee break videos. And that started off because I just didn't know what to say that everybody else hasn't said. Do you know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean.
So I kind of, well, I'll do a couple of ones without any talking. It was just me walking around, a bit of camera set up, and a bit, and some photos at the end, sort of 5 minutes, 6 minutes long, which is kind of, if someone's having a cup of coffee in their lunch break, it's not going to take all their time up. So that's how they kind of started, really. And then occasionally, I get a day where everything's going really well and I'm getting really excited and I'm really hoping to kind of bring people along with that.
Well, I watched your video. I think it's maybe a week or so ago. You were climbing the hill, and
Oh yeah,
the weather changed.
it
But
did.
the thing about that, and the thing about your videos actually, which I think like, I really enjoy, is you do an awful lot of work on your B-roll.
Yeah,
You're setting the scene. So that was like, I think it was 4 minutes. I think it was 4 minutes of B-roll at the beginning,
yeah.
and it was really, really beautifully done the way it told the
Oh,
story. And that's one of the reasons why I look and I think, why aren't more people watching this guy? Because
yeah,
actually your work is really good, your storytelling is really good,
yeah.
and you were one of the first ones I think that I've watched that told a story without even any piece to camera,
Oh,
you know.
yeah. That's
So
very kind of you, Gary. Yeah, I
no,
appreciate that.
that's just true. So I'll tell you what then. If there was one video of yours, so you're trying to sell yourself to someone who's watching today, and there's
Right.
one video of yours to say go and watch this video, which one do you think it would be? I know it's a difficult question.
It's a difficult. Well, my highest viewed video is one I did at Chesil Beach, and that's, to me, is amazing because it's got 1,800 views. And but I enjoyed making that video. I actually, my drone that day, I hit the down button as it's going over the sea. It plopped in the sea and I
Oops.
killed it. Yeah, but my favorite video is when I did for Father's Day. It didn't start off as a kind of remembrance of my dad. It started off just me again going up with the camera, doing a bit of B-roll. Now, when I was editing it, I suddenly remembered my dad, and it was Father's Day, and he used to enjoy going. We used to enjoy going fishing. So I kind of changed it a bit as a remembrance of my dad. Really, whether that would be something that people would be interested in, I don't know. But
If you're watching and you haven't seen any of Trevor's work, then head over to that one. I'll pop a link actually to that video in the description below.
brilliant.
So yeah, okay. So you've been doing videos for about 4 or 5 years. You've been only taking photos for 4 or 5 years. But if there was one piece of advice, one photography tip that you've picked up along the way that you would pass out to someone else, what would that be?
I would say, no matter what, whether so, no matter what, just enjoy it because not every day is a good day. Not every photograph is a great photograph. You know, so even if it's a bad day and nothing's gone right, you're out there and you're still able to enjoy it. That's just the main thing. I always remember, like when I worked on the Post, there was a guy there who was into gambling, horse racing stuff, and you'd only ever hear about the wins, right? And I
Mm,
think sometimes photography is a bit like that, isn't it?
yeah,
You only ever see the really good photos. You don't see all the thousands on your hard drive that never see the light of day.
yeah, yeah.
So
Totally get that. It's that's one of the things that I always say about social media. It's really easy for people to portray a certain side of them to make people think that they are something different from what they are because you only ever see the best bits.
yeah,
You never see the worst bits. Well,
yeah.
actually, sometimes you see the worst bits, but that's a whole other story. So, what we're talking about social media, actually,
Mhm.
here's a question, and I think it's my favourite question that I ask people because it gets so many interesting responses.
Right.
Social media, blessing or curse, and why?
I'll say blessing. I haven't had a huge amount of negative kind of thing on social media. So to me, it's a blessing in the sense you're talking photography, yeah,
I'm talking photography. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
So it's just a nice, easy way to get your work out there, if you like. That would probably be it. Really, it's just a nice, easy way to get your photography out there. Really,
Okay.
I'm
All right.
not big into social media. I know I kind of post a few things. I tend to sort of post my videos, perhaps,
Yeah.
but I'm not into like finding out what's going on every second of the day.
I think I'll be honest with you. The more you get into it, the more you'll find it's a curse.
Yeah, I'm sure you're right. Yeah,
But you probably at that little top level where you're just
yeah.
skimming it and getting the
I'm
best bits
probably a
of it.
bit, a bit old school, I guess.
Yeah.
Not down with the kids and all that kind of thing.
There's nothing wrong with that. There's nothing wrong with that. So moving on, what
Yeah,
is your best experience behind a camera, and what is your worst experience behind a camera?
my best experience had to be when I was at Boscombe Pier one morning for sunrise, and I went there actually just to photograph the pier with the lights. So like a bit of a nighttime shot lit up at night. And then it all changed. I got there and the sun was coming up and the whole sky just kind of exploded.
Okay.
And if you want to check the video out below. Anyway,
I'll
so
put that in the description as
yeah,
well.
it was just one of those moments in time that you just never forget. And I was kind of stuck in one composition, and really I should have moved around, but I was just so taken in with that moment, and it just went on and on because sometimes, yourself, sunrise can be over just like that, can't it?
hmm
But this one just went on and on and on, and I was just soaking it up, and it was just that was one of my favourite times. Worst time. Just trying to think now. It's tough, isn't it? Worst time would probably be, oh, I know, when I went up to Corfe Castle. It was a foggy day, and I went up with the idea of just a castle poking through the top of the castle, poking through the mist there, and it was just a blanket of fog, and it literally you could not see anything, and it didn't clear. So that was probably the worst time. Lugging all my gear up the top of the hill to Corfe Castle and just nothing. So that was a
Because
bit of
that
a
hill's a nightmare as well, isn't it?
yeah.
Because it's like it's not as steep, but there's no flat spot. So you're
No,
standing with your feet pointing down as well. It's like
yeah,
it's so difficult. I think when you said Corfe Castle and I wanted to get that shot with it, I think like literally everybody who ever takes a shot of Corfe Castle, that is the only shot they
yeah,
want. They
yeah,
don't
yeah,
want anything else. They just want it poking out in the mist.
yeah.
So, but you got
But
nothing. No, you got like
no, I
literally
got a
nothing.
picture of a fence with a bit of barbed wire. That was it. That was it. That was. But I can remember once with Corfe Castle, I was heading off to Old Harry's Rocks, and you go through Corfe to get to Studland Bay, and so I saw this mist, and yeah, again, just completely changed. Right, parking Corfe Castle, walk up, and that's before I really kind of got into photography. I didn't have proper knowledge, if you like, to what to do. And of course, you get all the, I don't say experts, but those that have been doing it a long time around you, and you feel very intimidated.
You're talking about Corfe Castle, and you've got some fantastic locations around by you, haven't you?
Mm,
Because you've got Corfe Castle, Durdle Door, and the whole Jurassic Coast there,
yeah.
and you've got Portland Bill nearby
Portland Bill,
to
yeah.
you. Yeah. Have you ever shot there at Portland Bill?
Again, I shot there before I started doing videos, and no, I haven't been there since. But see,
No.
the thing now with me is, when Becky comes, she comes for. It's all about timing. So I have a 3 hour slot. So what I have to try and do is work out like half an hour traveling. That'll give me a couple of hours to
Hmm.
maybe do a video, set the video up, and try and get some photographs. So I kind of in some ways I kind of need to try and know what I'm going to photograph before I get there. But then, having
Yeah.
said that, sometimes like my Swanage video the other week, that took 4 visits to do that video because I was on a time restraint, and you can't just suddenly get out your car and you're there. When you get there, you've got to walk to where it is, you've got to take a photograph. So that took quite a while. But yeah, so some of the places are a bit more difficult to get to now because of the time factor.
Yeah.
And
So
It was,
I assume now you're having. I mean, you said that you were sort of your channel's evolving because of that, but I imagine your whole photography is evolving as well. So these
yeah,
bigger locations now, sort of they're out. So you're having to find more local stuff.
yeah,
That's yeah.
yeah, yeah. If you look back over the playlist, there's been some. Was that one where I just walked up the hill the other week? I sort of came across that, and I thought, I could probably make a video here, and went from that. And in some ways, it's not particularly that exciting. You're walking up a hill, and there's not a lot up there when you get up there. But I've been up a couple of weeks before just for a walk, and came across this tree on its own. And I thought, if I get the right conditions, that could be okay. And as it happened, like you say, the weather went from sunny, cloudy to chucking it down with rain.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the image I got that day, no, it's not an award-winning image, but I came across what I thought was kind of a half decent picture, really.
Yeah, and it's also all about the story. You
Yeah,
know, it's not always about the images you get. It's about the story you tell. You know, while you're out getting those images,
yeah,
and that's why I like I say that's why I always enjoy your channel because you always tell a story. It's like it's quite it's almost quite daring. It sounds silly, but it's quite daring to have that much B-roll at the beginning of a video. But
mm,
you make it work, and you because you do that off. I know you do it often. There's always a quite a large part at the beginning of the video where you're
yeah,
walking to the place and you've got all the people. And often, you know, you might think, oh, get a lot of people say grab people's attention straight away. But I really like that. I like that sort of subtle approach that you do. You know.
mm. I sometimes wonder whether people kind of get bored of just seeing me walking around, But I kind of try and make it a little bit more interesting, like try to get different angles. And yourself, it's very easy just to plop the tripod there with the camera on, walk past it. But sometimes, I try and, like on that one on the hill, I'd set it up further down on the slope just to kind of get me trying to get the steepness of the hill,
Mm-hmm.
because it's very easy to sort of say you're going up a hill, but trying to get over how steep that hill was,
Yeah.
I don't know, you're probably the same. Your mind's constantly working overtime of trying to think of different things just to add into the video to make it a bit more interesting.
Of course, and that's the thing. It's we're all you know genuine people who are like really creative. Just want to keep doing. They're always looking for new angles,
Yeah,
always looking for something new to do. And I do notice that in your channel. I have to say, I notice that you are always looking for the next sort of thing to do. So
yeah.
that's really good.
Uh,
What's your favourite location? So if you could only go, let's say you could only go back to one location, or you can only go to one location you haven't been to before, which one would it be?
well, my favourite location locally is Kimmeridge Bay. I love it there because it's always changing, and it's very, certainly for down this way, it's very rough and rugged. And, when the tide's out, it's such a beautiful place, with those plateaus and then got the whole Jurassic coast there. A place that I'd like to go. I mean, obviously, places like Iceland, everyone wants to go there, but I think they're so sort of saturated now.
Yeah, they are.
I'll tell you somewhere I'd like to go. It's where I was born, actually, Singapore.
Oh wow, okay.
Yeah, I'd love to go back there and photograph that. Because I mean, it's obviously changed a lot. Well, not since I was born, but yeah, I'd like to go back there and give that a good.
Like little like landscape wise or street wise, because I'd imagine street photography in Singapore would be
Yeah,
amazing.
yeah. I've never really done street photography, and I'm totally inspired by yours, Gary. Honestly,
Oh, thanks, mate.
I love what you do with street photography. You just come across so natural, and the photographs you get, brilliant. Really, really enjoy your street photography videos.
Thanks, mate.
And yeah, so yeah, street photography. Because when we were out there, obviously when I was little, it was not like a shanty town, but it was not like it is now. It's so modern and slick now. But that'd be great, wouldn't it? Do some street photography out there
Oh, I'd love to do
if you're
that, mate.
allowed to. I don't know what the rules are out there, but yeah,
I'd love to give that a go because there is one area that you do that isn't landscape because I've seen some of it, and that's your wildlife stuff. Are you still doing that in your garden, or?
That was a kind of, again, that was you guys, weren't it? You and Darren inspired me to do that really. And that was a lockdown thing. And I haven't really got the lens. I think to do it outside of your own garden, you need a longer lens. So, maybe one day I might get one of them. You never know. But yeah, someone else mentioned about that, about the bird photography. So I might do that again, just a couple more from
Well,
the art.
I'm not going to lie. You got this one log, right? That you.
Oh,
I'm not sure how interesting it's going to be to other people listening, but you got this one log that you use, which is like it's sort of like an upright one, and it was one where you got the long tail tits,
yeah, yeah.
and you sort of grooved a bit out of it, and I was so envious of that log. I was like,
Oh.
why can't I find a log like that? I can't get in.
Yeah,
All of mine are like been sawn off halfway up the trunk.
yeah,
And you've
yeah.
got one that looks so natural. And I was like, oh my God, I love that log.
Well, I'll tell you what that was. It's just down the road. We'd had a storm and I saw it lay in the road. And I said to Mara, I said, I want to go back and get that. And she said, we can't do that. Because you're a big worry of my wife.
Right.
You'll get caught, you'll go to prison. I said, it's a log. Nobody's going to worry. They'll probably be grateful that I'm taking it off the road. So, yeah, I was lucky with that one. Yeah. I mean, I've kind of changed the garden quite a lot since those videos. We've got a pond now and trying to encourage more wildlife into the garden. I've actually got a hedgehog. I built a little hedgehog house and he's sort of tucked in there. So we've got a hedgehog comes out at night, which I like to photograph, but he sometimes come out to 2 in the morning.
Yeah. Bit
That's
of a long exposure. You'll get a hedgehog
yeah,
trail rather than a hedgehog.
yeah, maybe I could stick like a little LED on him. So when he comes, out a nice light trail.
That's a good idea. You could just do a long exposure of him wandering around the garden.
Yeah,
When you're
yeah,
talking about getting that log, I did this a really similar thing. I have this sort of area of woodland. It's only a small bit, but over a dual carriageway near my house. And I went there with my daughter because I was walking. I was looking for some particular bits and pieces, and there's this one. I don't know. I think it was a birch, but it had fallen, or part of it had certainly fallen. But I couldn't get it in the car, the whole thing.
yeah,
So I went off with a hacksaw to hacksaw the bit that had fallen. But I thought if anyone walks past, they're going to think I've literally sawn this
yeah.
off of the tree. And my wife's going, you can't go out and get that. It's against the law. I'm like, is it against? I don't know. Is it
I
against the
don't
law to
know.
pick up dead wood? I can't imagine it is. So, but every time I'm out now, I'm like, I could get that in the car, but I'm like 3 hours
Yeah.
away from home, so I have to be driving 3 hours with a mossy log in the boot. So,
You'll be too pleased about that.
what is the favourite piece of photography equipment you've ever owned?
I think it's my tripod.
Yeah,
Yeah, I love my tripod. And yeah, I don't do a lot of handheld stuff. I try to do more, but I just like that idea of being able to set it up on the tripod and just take your time. And like I said before, just kind of losing yourself in it and just try to capture that image. Well, that sounds probably a bit lame. I don't know if it's supposed to be the best lens or something, but
no, listen,
the tripod.
exactly, but that's why I asked the question because everyone's
Yeah,
got a different answer and they have a
yeah,
different piece of equipment, and I totally get it with a tripod because it just slows you down, doesn't
yeah,
it?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
You know?
And the thing with the tripod, when I first started, I just got a cheap one from Amazon for about 25 quid, I think it was. And it's one of those ones that open up, but had bars. So it only opened up so far.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
And then the little paddle things, they started breaking and you just start bodging it up a bit of masking tape to try and stop it sliding. But in the end, yeah, I went for something a bit more half decent.
Do you know? I bet I've got the same one you're talking about in my shed. Mine's
Yeah.
is it gold? Was it gold with?
No, this is just a black
Oh, okay.
sheep.
In that case, we won't put that bit in. All right. Talking about equipment, then. So if money were literally, if money were literally no object, what piece of equipment would you really like to own?
Well, it's kind of not, well, it's kind of is to do with photography and not photography. But I'd love a camper van,
Who wouldn't?
so I could just like, if things were different, you could go off, a bit like what's his name? Thomas Heaton. He's sort of got a van now, and he goes off here, there, and everywhere. Just that kind of freedom, I guess, to go where you like, when you like.
I'd imagine a van is fantastic because you can
Yeah,
literally just park up, can't you,
yeah.
and then just walk out at sunrise or
Have a nice
pre-sunrise, and
breakfast in the morning.
yeah, yeah, freedom, freedom, mate.
Yeah.
Can never afford a camper van though, so
No, I know.
it's tense for me.
Yeah, yeah.
Do you do much? Have you ever been camping?
No, not really.
No,
No, no.
don't.
We
It's
had
a
we had a
nightmare.
caravan. That was great fun. We had a caravan a couple of years back, and really enjoyed that. But that was kind of taking you home with you, in it. Really,
Yeah,
proper bed, cooker, fridge, shower, and all that kind of stuff.
yeah. No, it's not the same as camping.
No, no, I
Honestly,
can imagine.
until you've had 2 nights in a tent and you're freezing cold both nights, you have no idea what tiredness
No,
and grumpiness is.
no. I think I like a few more luxuries in life these days.
Yeah, definitely. So you were talking about your running.
Yeah.
Do you still run?
I try and get out when I can. Yeah, obviously,
Yeah.
it's not that easy these days, but
No.
I still manage to get down the local running club on a Thursday night. So Becky comes on a Thursday, so sits with Margaret for a couple of hours. But I don't do as much as I used to. No.
And do you have any other hobbies outside of photography and running?
Mm. No, I mean I like pottering around the garden. It's just trying to find things that keep me busy. Really, you know. No, that'd probably be it. Really.
That's the thing, though. I mean, you're a full time carer,
Yeah.
yeah, and it's hard. From my experience, I don't know how you feel, but sometimes it's hard to feel like you've got a purpose. Like
Yeah.
not you have a purpose for caring, but it's not the
Yeah.
same as when you were working. There's not that routine and that.
No.
So do you think maybe that your photography gives you that sort of purpose, perhaps a little bit?
Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. Because like you say, it gives you something to think about. Whether you're thinking about your next photography trip, where are you going to go, what you're going to do, what you might be able to photograph. Yeah, I think when you live, this is going to sound awful, I mean, it's not meant to, but when you suddenly find yourself in the position you're in now, you can feel very imprisoned. Do you know what I'm trying to say?
I
Although
know exactly what you're
you're
saying.
not, because Margaret and I
Yeah.
still go out and we'll go for a walk for coffee and that, but I just can't really leave her on her own for any
Mhm.
length of time.
Mhm.
And so, although Margaret's got this disease, you feel like you've kind of got it. Obviously living with it, but it affects you as much as the person that's got it.
Definitely. Yeah.
So you need something to kind of channel your mind um, onto just the everyday mundane things of life, I suppose. And Margaret does come with me sometimes when I go out with the camera, but you find you you're thinking about her more than your
Yeah. Yeah. Of
photography, making
course.
sure
Of course.
So when I do get out on my own, yeah, I do so look forward to that, because
Yeah.
it's just for that little short space and time in your week, that little bit of freedom, to not worry that that she'll be okay, because she is okay, and just immerse yourself in that moment, and it kind of feeds your soul, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
I know exactly what you're saying. It's a
Yeah,
release, and
yeah,
we all need that. We all need
yeah,
that from because everyone has their pressures through
yeah,
maybe
definitely.
work and other things, but there there's a unique pressure being a carer
Yeah,
that people maybe don't quite understand, and it's like you're right in the nicest possible way, and I don't mean this to sound anything, but you carry your partner's disability or illness with you because
yeah,
it's part of you,
yeah,
and so when you're out you can kind of let that go a little bit and just
yeah,
almost sort of be yourself. And it's not
yeah,
that you don't want to be part of it, because we've both chosen to be part of it, but
yeah,
you do still there is that part where you can just sort of, when you're out, you're just more you, and
yeah,
that's important, because then you can come back refreshed and
exactly.
what have you. So
Yeah,
yeah, I totally get you on that.
yeah.
I do.
Yeah, and Margaret, to be honest, she's one of my biggest fans. Anyhow, she always likes to see my photos, and when I've done, she's always the first to see my videos, and it could be a rubbish video, but into her, oh yeah, that's your best video ever, and
Oh, bless.
so yeah,
Yeah.
yeah,
My wife's like, can't be bothered.
yeah,
She's like, but I said to her, I could say, let's go to the most beautiful place in the world,
yeah.
and she's like, I'm not fussed by it. I don't, views and vistas don't do it for me.
No,
So I'm like,
yeah.
oh, okay, fair enough. So, what would you say is your favourite ever photo? The best photo you've taken, or the one that means the most to you?
One that means the most would probably be. It's not from any sentimental reason. It's just an unusual photo. I don't know if you can see it in the camera. This one back here of old Harry's rocks,
Oh, okay.
and what it is I went kayaking with Margaret's grandson to the obviously up to Harry's rocks. Normally, Harry's rocks, the photos are from the top of the cliff looking down. It's probably maybe 2 or 3 compositions up there. But when you get down there, it looks so different. And fortunately, the tide was out a bit, so we were able to walk around, and I managed to walk round the side of old Harry's rocks. And then there's an arch, and through that arch, you can see the end of old Harry's rocks. And so that's probably one of my favorite shots because it's just an unusual shot. It's not a shot that particularly
Mm-hmm.
a lot of people get. So I would say that is probably my favorite one.
One last question before we go, and if you could go back and restart your channel, so right
Right.
back from the very beginning, would you do anything differently?
Well, certainly, because I remember when I first started, I was just using the mic on top of a GoPro, and that was pretty awful. So the first thing I'd do is get a mic of some sort. And I don't know, I think I kind of set in my ways now. I think, I think it has changed, like you say, in the sense that, I put a lot more B-roll into my videos than I probably used to. Because I think you watch other vloggers and you think the format is a little bit of B-roll, explaining where you are, all your settings, and then finish off a little bit of B-roll, something like that. That's kind of the format of a lot. And like I think I said before, I'm not very particularly articulate at getting over what I want to try and say. And that's why I do a lot more B-roll. And I think, I probably would do more of that if I was starting off again, just concentrate on, like you said, maybe the story side of things.
So thanks, really, Trevor. I really, really enjoyed that. That was absolutely fantastic. Now, if you want to watch Trevor's channel, then I'll put a link in the description below. But please go check him out because he's such a lovely, honest, genuine guy, and you can tell that he really does it because he loves it. So, thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate it. And
That's great.
yeah,
Yeah. Thanks, Gary.
yeah,
Thanks for having me on. I really appreciate it.
no
It's very
worries,
kind of you.
and we'll see you all again soon.
Yep.
Bye
Cheers.
bye. Bye bye.
Bye.